Hey everybody, welcome back to my basement shop. It's January 16th, 2020, and we're going to do a flea market finds segment. This is going to be a machinist toolbox and contents that I picked up. This was a listing I found on Facebook Marketplace. This listing had been up for a while, so I decided to contact the person because judging from the photographs, I could see a few things in there that might be worthwhile, and I thought maybe since it was up for a while, he'd budge on price. We agreed to meet. I drove down into Rhode Island to meet him. And something happened that hasn't happened to me in quite a long time. I was taken to the cleaners. I was bamboozled. I was swindled. I was shystered. Swindled, shystered, bamboozled, taken to the cleaners. I was robbed. All right, well, maybe that's an exaggeration. Well, let me get this toolbox up on the bench. And I'll explain. All right, so this Craftsman badged machinist toolbox came up on Marketplace, and it was an ad for the toolbox and all the contents in the box. I think he was asking $250 for this, if I'm not mistaken. I forget exactly, but I decided to take a ride down, see if I could negotiate with him. I went through the box. I quickly realized there was nothing in here that was going to be a showstopper, and I kind of I let my emotions get the better of me, and I actually came up to $150 for the box and the contents. And even at that, I wasn't exactly that comfortable about it. And believe it or not, he wanted me to split the difference with him and meet him at 200. He said if he got out of it for 200, he'd be happy. And I was going to walk away at that. I didn't even want to come up any more than 150. And I was preparing to walk away, and as I was getting ready to leave, he said, you know what, give me the 150. I don't want to deal with having to have a bunch of people come out and go through piecemeal, piece by piece. So I said, if he takes everything out of here and sells it on eBay, he could probably get there. He's going to have to pay his fees and deal with all that. And he didn't want to deal with it. So I paid $150 for this. But when I paid the $150 for this, I fully expected I was going to be able to get $50 or $75 for this Craftsman box. Even though this isn't a Kennedy, so to speak. Although, it's a locking box. It's got the original keys. They say Craftsman right on it, which is a plus. It's got the front here isn't missing. It isn't all banged up. All the drawers work nicely. Draw slides are good. Okay. The pulls, if you look at the pulls closely, they are dead ringers for the early Kennedy pulls. I strongly believe that Kennedy was making these boxes for Craftsman at the time. Craftsman, as we well know, was a brand sold through the catalog, Sears catalog, and they didn't actually manufacture anything. They had the stuff made for them. So somebody had to make this for Craftsman, and just the fact that, these little pulls right here, they've got to be Kennedy pulls. See the funky little diamond right there in the center? That little black handle? Well, there's the pull on my genuine Kennedy 11 draw. So, 8-draw machinist toolbox, looks to be in pretty good condition with the keys. Figure I could get $50 or $75 out of just for the box. That was the hope anyways. Now let me show you what happened. When I arrived there, he had the box open like this on the floor in a dark corner of his workshop area. But I could see well enough to see what was in it. But what I didn't see was the damage on the box itself. So it's not that the stuff in the box isn't what I thought it was, because I saw what was in there and I'm comfortable. I've made my peace with overpaying for that stuff. The problem is, once you take that profit or that money out of the box, if the box ends up being a complete wash, that's a problem. So what we have here on the back is severe rot right in the area of the hinge. So what I noticed was the lid won't stay open. And I was like, well, why is that? Why won't it go back any further than this? And then I noticed that when I try and make it go back any further, what happens is this whole hinge right here is basically, I think it was spot welded to the metal there, has separated. And it also looks bent in this area. So, and when I took a soft mallet to try and tap this back in, that's when big chunks of metal started falling, rusty metal started falling off of here. And I realized, oh, this is all rotted. So you see we got some severe rottage damage on the back of this box. Now, fortunately, I do have somebody who might be interested in this box. They haven't seen it yet. Luckily, he's a local buyer, so he can come touch it, feel it, smell it, whatever, and make his decision. This is a gentleman who I bought tools from in the past. I sold him one of my Kennedys almost identical to this years ago. And he has a penchant for painting things black. So he took that Kennedy, which, by the way, had a really nice original finish on it. And oh, by the way, that's another reason why this thing just screams Kennedy to me. It's got this original brown crinkle finish, paint finish, you know. But then again, you know, that probably wasn't necessarily trademarked or whatever. It has black paint on the top here. It almost looks like overspray, but I'm now wondering whether or not that was to try and hide this rust damage. So anyways, so he bought one of my boxes. And he painted it all black and cleaned all the drawers up really nice and everything, and then he sold it. And now he's been bugging me about another one. And I told him, I said, well, I'm not really ready to part with any of my Kennedys, and then this came along. So I'm gonna see if he'll take an interest in this, and I'll blow it out to him dirt cheap, trying to recoup a little bit of my money. Hopefully. It's got good pulls on the side, you know, the big lifting handles on the side. Kind of nice. But let's go through this box draw by draw and see if we can't find enough in here to make me just feel generally better about what I've done. All right, let's start with the top area. All right. There were a lot of near misses or near hits in this thing. For instance, spotted this block, this V block. Immediately thought Starrett V block, right? Here's my 567. All right, it's a ripoff of a 567. Oversized. I don't know whether or not Starrett made a larger size or not, but here's the problem. No markings anywhere on it. There's no way in heck that's an original Starrett. All of the original Starrett V blocks are clearly marked. So it's a project somebody made, and to make matters worse, no clamp. Now, I do have some random extra clamps that don't fit any of my current V blocks. Well, I just checked. I don't have one clamp to fit this. So, you know, being a beat up old homemade block without a clamp, I value this at $5 at best. 145. Let's see, this is a Starrett center head on a Brown and Sharp blade. Okay, so this could be a Brown and Sharp head, but it looks like a Starrett. Yeah, so no markings on this head. It has a Starrett look to it, but it could be Brown and Sharp. But that's definitely a Brown and Sharp blade. It says so right there. So, I don't know, $10. That's what, 135 we're down to, right? Oh, by the way, look what was in here. Lot number 202. So this guy went to this auction company. He went to one of their auctions, and he probably bought the whole box with contents at the auction. Here's a nice indicator. This is a nice Starrett model. Yeah, this is a model 196 Starrett indicator, no case. Has the nice hole attachment. So this is so you can reach into a bore and get a reading. The problem is, like a lot of the stuff, this one's sticking really bad. That's going to need some love, unfortunately. So in the condition it's in, $10 gets us down to what, $1.25. This is one of the things I noticed. I spotted in one of the photos, and I thought, oh, that's actually kind of nice. This is a Starrett drill gauge rule. So this is like a hook rule with this attachment on it for the purpose of sharpening drills, drill point gauge, I think is what they call it. All right. So that's easily worth a tenner right there. So that gets us down to what, 115? How about this? A little precision grinding vise like you often see. But unlike what you often see, this is non-metallic. Non-metallic. That's not what I meant to say, guys. Non-magnetic. Spoke too soon. Interestingly enough, jaws are magnetic, and that pin and the screw, but the body of the vise is non-magnetic. I've never seen one like this, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But, you know, there's no manufacturer's name anywhere on it, so we can safely assume it's probably a import, you know, 10 bucks. Let's call that 10. I forgot what I was down to. I guess that gets us down to 105. An angle block, tapped, screwed holes in it. Gravy. Don't count that. A Mitutoyo 0 to 1 inch tenths micrometer, direct reading, numerical, mechanical numerical micrometer. With tenths vernier on it and everything. This is actually a nice little micrometer. I might even keep this one. So anyways, 0 to 1 inch. Because there's no case, I'd say 15 bucks. That gets us down to 90. An Oldak, O-L-D-A-K. You have not lived until you've dropped some coin on an Oldak indicator, he said sarcastically. This actually even has a model number. Hey, I tell you what, I may have scoffed at this too soon. This actually says made in England. It's been around the, you know, it's been beaten up a little bit. It actually still works, but it's, again, it's sticking. So it's going to need some love. I've never seen an old DAC indicator. Probably, again, got to be across the pond to make this of interest. As a model, ALS 16 or 18, I can't quite see. 0.001, the thousandths. And it's a 500 thousandths travel. Yeah, it's an ALS 18. Old DAC. Well, this is an ALS 14 in much better condition in the original box, sold for 25 bucks plus 6 bucks shipping. So, unfortunately, it's not that this is necessarily a cheapy indicator, it's just it's very old, apparently, and the other problem is it's unknown. So, if this was on, say, the British eBay and selling locally to somebody in Britain, it might bring more money. So like sometimes you see at the bottom of the listings when you're searching for stuff, you'll see international sellers and you'll see some stuff. I've even had items I searched for that I couldn't find one on the US eBay, that the only ones selling were actually on the international eBay. So in the condition it's in, you know, what, 5 bucks? What were we down to? I don't remember. Let's say we're down to 90. I think we could safely say that. Oh, okay, finally. Something we can sink our teeth into. Stare it. This should be... Oh, what the... I already knew. I'm just joking. Yeah. Stare it depth micrometer with 2 hole rods. Oh, good. It's engraved, too. I was hoping that would be engraved. Not. So this is a Stare-It 440. Pretty popular one. It's got the small shoe, which some guys like. The small base. Narrow base. Oh, and it's got a rod in it. So it's... that's going to be the 1 inch, and that'll be the 2 inch, and that'll be the 3. So the good news is we can call this a 0 to 3 micrometer and sell it as a 0 to 3. All right? But it should, you know, I don't think they offered a 0 to 3. It's probably a 0 to 6 missing 3 rods. Who knows? But even, it's Stare-It, even with the missing rods, as a 0 to 3 depth micrometer, seems to be in good working condition. The cap probably hasn't been off in 100 years. Oh, it comes off. Good. Let's make sure the rod that's in there is not seized in there. It is not. So, not bad. We could safely say that's worth 15 bucks. So that gets us down to what? 75. Next up, Taiwan. 79709670159. That reeks of MSC catalog number, possibly. But what this is this is a complete set of 5-seat call-it block chucks. So let's call it block set. These are really popular. I've sold several of these. I seem to have no problem selling these as long as I price them appropriately. This one appears to be in excellent condition. It's the typical setup. You get the hex block, you got the square block, the closer, and a couple of nuts. in a nice little plastic case that is not broken. Okay, so I'd value that at 20 bucks. In other words, if I paid 20 bucks for this, I can make 10 bucks on it probably. So that gets us down to 55, right? Well, here's another $5, if that. Actually, maybe not even that. This is another cheap indicator. This is, I recognize that logo. The manufacturer on these indicators is like Aeroplane or Aereo something, I think, or whatever. But this is made in China, Chinese made. Actually, it's freeing up. Yeah, $5. So that gets us down to 50 bucks now, right? You guys will probably laugh and I can't keep that number straight in my head. Nice little stare at quick reference chart. Probably keep that along with all the other ones I always keep for no apparent reason. Here is a something holder. Got a threaded hole in the end. Well, it's got a threaded hole taper. So this is to be drawn in to something. Thurston, Providence, Rhode Island. Useless. This has a very slight taper on it and has a threaded hole in the back so it can be drawn in. And obviously it's a collet. But I have no idea what that fits. It's an unusual design. So, no value. Small dovetail cutter. Looks perfect. Looks brand new. It's a Niagara. 3/4 by 45. Yeah, that's what it is. Niagara cutter. That's actually a good brand. High-speed steel, but still, you know. But again, not enough value to really make a difference here. Last item in the top box is a tachometer. And it's a Jaquette. Oh, I've seen plenty of these. Made in Switzerland. Swiss-made tachometer. This one is labeled H.H. Stitch Company Incorporated, New York, New York. But I think that's just the importer, the tool importer. Whereas Jaquette's the actual maker of it. So notice nothing's happening, but I think this is one of the ones where you got to press the button to get the reading. See, it's telling me that that's not working. Oh, uh-oh. It just started ticking. The damn thing's going to blow. All right, I'm not going to mess with this. I have no reason to believe that this doesn't work perfectly fine. Do not attempt to open this. Herman H. Sticht Company. Attention Service Department. Brooklyn, New York. 57 Front Street, 3rd floor. That's probably all condos now. Or high-end apartments. Jaquette. Looks like it's got the full complement of little rubber nipples there. Courtesy of the rubber nipple salesman. All right. Oh, let's call this 15 bucks. I forgot where we were again. Let's say we're down to 35 bucks. I gotta get 35 bucks worth of stuff out of the rest of this thing.